Let me mention about system design. So after after having all drivers, you should have a configuration file, which is also specific to your ECU, to your system. So everything we are building on this configuration file. If we add a new software module, then the configuration file will be updated. If you configure something, if you add a new UDS services, if you change a parameter of CAN communication, then the configuration file will be updated. And with this configuration file, via using Autosar tools, you're able to generate the code and integrate into our ECU. So this was the part of basic software. And if I talk about application software, then we should think always visual function network. It's a communication mechanism that provides interaction between software components. In addition, application and infrastructure provides a sharp distinction between. So, virtual function network offers the following concepts. So it communicates with other components in the system. It communicates with sensors and actuators in the system. It provides access to standardized services such as reading and writing in VRAM. It reacts to the mode change of the ECU. It communicates with calibration and management systems. So basically, what we do is we create some blocks as a software modules, as software modules, and we create the interaction, and we configure, we show them how they should intercommunicate, so that we have virtual function network. And for every specific particular ECU, we need to have a specific virtual function network. So it's not limited to communication between software components in the application layer, but also between standard software. So with VFP, Autosar objectives are achieved, which are modularity, interchangeability, repositionability, scalability, and reusability. So that what we do is we create some software modules in blocks, and we connect them each other, and we define ports in RTE, and we connect ports via RTE again. So that we can move one software component from a project to another project, from a system to another system, from an ECU to another ECU. So VFP enables hardware-independent development of application software. RTE is the internal control implementation of this VFP concept. So we are implementing VFP with RTE, which means RTE. In the Autosar tool, we say how they should communicate each other. Okay, so the communication can be done cyclic or event-based. So this is a choice, and this choice is done in RTE, and RTE knows how you communicate or how your software modules are communicating each other. So RTE is executing this mechanism, this functionality, and it is the center of this functionality. It's the heart of Autosar. That's why it's the heart of Autosar. And as a as method nome, we fully standardize these software modules according to Autosar, and we are enabling it to be used by configuring it for different issues. So there are different types of components at Autosar, and there are different components. Yeah, as I said, you can define, you can specify your module as a block here, and then you can create ports, and there are different ports like sender receiver and or a client server or calibration ports, so that um, you can interact with other software modules. So um, so that it can be designed as a system of connected software components is very important. So in the end of the day, our system should be defined as a interconnected software components. So these are the tools we have in our hands. We have components, we have ports. So we paint them in an Autosar module, and there are two different uh, component types: atomic component types. So basically, single software components are communicating each other. And the composition component is a component made of two software components. So we take this as a single component made of two software components interacts with a third software component. So, and yeah, I want to talk about also different, mainly there are two types of ports: provide ports and require ports. So provide means a software module provides something to the outside. Okay, it may be either a signal or a function. Okay, and require port means it requires something. It requires an important information from outside. It may be either a signal from outside or a function from outside. And the ports are then there are also subports like sender and receiver ports. So these are the inputs and outputs. So what are we sending out and what are we receiving from outside as signals, as data? And there are different port interfaces. There are three types of port interfaces in Autosar. So client and server ports. So services required or provided by software components. Sender receiver ports. Data is exchanged between sender and receivers via these interfaces, and there are calibration uh, ports. So that static calibration data can be queried using calibration. Yeah. So I want to also mention that we use Runnables for events and functions that can be triggered. The development of a software component may consist of one or more runnables. So the runnables are executed by RTE, and runnables use RTE functions and macros to get information from sensors or actuators or from other um, from other software modules. And runnables can be called cyclically or on an event basis.